Game week, baby. Game week, game week, game week. 7 things to keep an eye on short and long term when it comes to the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts. Late night locker room, game week edition, right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop.
Look at Chris Ballard up there, just trying to go viral, trying to go naturally viral. The guy who I think Chris Ballard of the Colts carries a camera crew around, or takes a camera crew around, just waiting for him to get that viral clip. That's behind the scenes. This is how the Indianapolis Colts were built type of clip. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can see me right here throughout the week. Got some big stuff popping. Was at Texans today. DeMeco Ryans, Shane Steichen. They got a little bit of a rivalry going, which let's just start off the countdown. Let's get right into it. We don't need, you know why you're here. You know why I'm here. The number one factor, and this is long-term, between the Texans and the Colts, I think it's the DeMeco Ryans, Shane Steichen matchup. And this goes back to when Steichen was in Philly, DeMeco was in San Francisco. We saw a couple of times last year, Shane Steichen got the best of DeMeco in week 2. Then final week of the season, I mean, there was a drop pass and the Texans ended up winning, and you say DeMeco got the best of Steichen. I think that would be fair, although it was an admirable effort with the backup quarterback with Minshew Mania. I asked DeMeco Ryans, though, and he's in hardo mode. We'll dive a little bit more into just how much of a hard ass DeMeco Ryans is. And it's not fake. It's not a bit. DeMeco Ryans is intense. He's ready to go. He don't want to talk about the past. What happened in the past means nothing. He's in authentic hardo coaching mode. And I just asked him about his history with Shane Steichen, and he doesn't want to make it about him. He wants to make it about the players.
What are your overall thoughts on y'all's history going back to San Francisco, Philly, and last year? I don't look at it as a history, right? Between me and Steichen, like, it's about the players playing the game, right? Our players. Shane is a really good coach. He always has his guys prepared, ready to go. Really respect him as a coach. And for me, we got to do the same. Like, just have our guys prepared, ready to go, ready for anything that they may throw at us. So it's not about me or Shane. It's about the players who strap it up on the field.
All right. He can say that. And Karras says DeMeco shut that ish down when you asked about it. Yeah, he did. And he shut down a lot today. I mean, he was Matumbo, finger wagging like a mofo. Not about matchups, not about last year, not about this year. That's his mindset. That's how he coaches. Consistency, all that. That's how DeMeco coaches. And he can say that, but the reality is it's a thing. DeMeco versus Steichen is a thing. It's been a thing for a while. It's a chess match because it's two guys on opposite sides of the rock. They're going to play twice a year. There's going to be a lot on the line many times when they play. I don't think we anticipate either one of these guys being gone anytime soon. So these guys are going to be connected. Whether DeMeco wants to minimize it and say it's about the players, that's fine, but it is a thing. I don't care what he says. It's definitely a thing. And I think it's the number one storyline, the number one thing when it comes to the next era of this matchup between the Texans and the Colts. It's DeMeco versus Shane Steichen. Don't care what DeMeco says, what he doesn't say. That's what it is, no doubt. So there you go there. Someone asks when the injury report drops. It drops every day. Every day they practice, it drops. The Friday one's the one that you look at the most. So, yeah, it drops every day they practice. Number 2, when it comes to things that matter and factors with this era of Texans versus Colts, I would say CJ Stroud versus the Colts defense / fans. CJ Stroud has kind of had some fun. He's been going back and forth with Franklin and Speed. He's one of those guys who likes to embrace rivalries, likes to embrace competition, the man in the arena type of vibe. And he's gone back and forth. He's talked about how they hate him in Indianapolis. He's talked some smack to Franklin and Speed. Both of those guys have acknowledged it. They said they're kind of tired of it. I saw the other day, Dwight Freeney basically said this is going to be a bloodbath in Indianapolis. CJ Stroud versus the Colts defense and the fans is going to be a factor, and it's going to get a little bit chippy out there. And the other thing I want to give the Colts credit for is that environment's nasty. I mean, that environment last year, that was better than I maybe the Browns, Texans was up there, but that was better than any regular season atmosphere that was at NRG. If we're being honest with each other, and why would we not be? We always are. What the Colts put out there, and again, it was a win or go home game, so maybe that's easier. It's pretty much a playoff game. You have the closed roof and all that, and they had the lights out, whatever. But that atmosphere was nice, and I think CJ Stroud likes those types of atmospheres going back to college. So the Colts defense and fans is matchup number 2 when it comes to stuff that matters for the Texans. Someone who was on the squad last year, I got to talk to him. You can go back and look at the Jake Hansen, Mario Edwards, and Chris Boyd interviews on the channel. Jake Hansen, no Christian Harris. Jake Hansen's one of those guys that can play every linebacker position, only on special teams last year. DeMeco Ryans says last year doesn't matter. Let's hear if Jake Hansen feels the same way or if Jake Hansen thinks there's a little bit more to it.
Overall thoughts. Obviously expected to probably play a little more defense than you did last year when y'all went there. How you feeling?
No, I'm excited. We had a good camp. Was able to build in year 2 in the defense and get real comfortable with what the coaches are looking for. And I just was trying to take the coaching the best way I can and go make some plays out there. So.
Do the emotions kind of maybe resurface from how the regular season ended last year and then going back there to start it off?
Oh yeah, I mean it's exciting because I mean like you said, last year was a playoff atmosphere, but knowing it's a division game, every one of those division games is important, and the playoffs and deciding who's going to win the South. So
Frank has talked about the mindset on special teams. It's a little bit more juiced up. Do you have to kind of adjust knowing that you're going to play more defense? Like, is there a different mindset from playing 3 downs at linebacker versus playing like 4th down special teams or kickoff or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit different. Like, it's just maybe your preparation is a little bit different. Like, spend a little bit more time on defense or special teams, like going into the week, knowing your role and what you're going to be expected of coming on Sunday. So, I mean, it changes your preparation. You may add a little bit more defense, but I would say more of it's just adding extra stuff and preparing for taking more reps. Like, the more reps you have, the more you probably got to study and be on top of everything, right? So. That's kind of the mentality and how it switches up every week. So,
all right, there you go. That's Jake Hansen. Cody Stutes also caught up with him. If you want to peep Cody's channel, we got some collabs going down as well. Is Hansen going to start over Toto? I don't know. I think he might be better. I like Toto fine as like a special teamer. I'm kind of terrified of the thought of him having to be in coverage. But the linebacker it's definitely something that you should be a little bit concerned about. Just if for any reason, just because it's kind of unknown and you're not going to have Christian Harris, who was a monster last year in that final game of the season against the Colts. You could see the mean streak, a lot of extracurricular stuff going on with Harris. He's not going to be on the field, and he was awesome last year against the Colts. So you're not going to have him. You didn't really add it. You added Azeez Al-Shaair, but you lost Cashman. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's an area of concern. So we'll see how that looks. So DeMeco versus Steichen 1, Stroud versus the Colts defense / fans 2. Long-term matchups in the Texans-Colts rivalry, Caserio versus Ballard. Remember when Chris Ballard was like the toast of the NFL? And Chris Ballard was like the GM that everyone talked about. Man, this guy's awesome. He's great. The Colts are building something special. And then all of a sudden Andrew Luck retires and things start to look a little bit different. You've been playing quarterback musical chairs for a long time now. You've never been able to replace Andrew Luck. Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, still seems to be crying every time he mentions Andrew Luck, like borderline crossing his fingers, hoping that he comes back. Chris Ballard, nothing really has happened, kind of been on a mediocre treadmill since Luck retired. But he's still, we know how Chris Ballard is. He always wants to be viral. He always wants to act like he has like some sort of like awesome quote. I don't even think that their behind the scenes draft footage is real. I honestly think that Chris Ballard has like multiple takes where he'll act something out. I don't know this for a fact. It just comes across as a little bit weird. But that's just kind of where Chris Ballard is. We'll hear from him in a sec, but those are the three long-term factors. And now you have Caserio, who's kind of the toast of the league, a little bit ahead of schedule. The Patriot Way stuff is kind of dead. He's found his quarterback, he's found his coach, and there's like whispers that Nick Caserio could be best GM in football. So that's kind of flipped where you had the guy in the division that was getting all the praise in Ballard. Now it seems like it's kind of flipped to Chris Ballard. So that's just kind of where you are. Someone says Cal over Irsay. I don't know what's up with Irsay. I don't know. I know he had the health scare. So yeah, Irsay's been a little bit all over the place. And there's been some awkward moments with him and Ballard when it comes to quarterback situations. And then they fired Frank Reich because Frank Reich liked Carson Wentz, and it's been kind of a little bit interesting. So those are the three long-term things. Notice I didn't put the quarterback in that equation just because I don't feel comfortable doing that yet. But as far as Sunday factors, and some of these are short-term, maybe these aren't as long-term as DeMeco, Steichen, Stroud versus Colts fans / defense, and Caserio versus Ballard. But I don't think there's a bigger factor on Sunday than Jonathan Taylor, the Jonathan Taylor factor. He was the best player on the field in week 18. I don't even know that it was really close. I know CJ had a hell of a game and he was good, but Jonathan Taylor, especially when you factor in that he was banged up, Jonathan Taylor was absolutely phenomenal in that game. And this was after all the early season drama. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a handful, and he always is when he's healthy, when he's on the field. Last year in week 18, Jonathan Taylor had 30 carries for 188 yards. On the sidelines at the end when they dropped the pass, but 30 for 188, 6.3 a pop, touchdown, 49-yard run. Jonathan Taylor is going to be scary. And this Texans D-line, you like what they got on the edge. Mario Edwards, who I caught up with today, he had a really good camp. Fatukasi had a good camp. Does that have more to do with the Texans O-line, or is that something that they can build on? And even if these guys are good, depth, much like linebacker, the depth is a cause for concern. So Jonathan Taylor, we're going to have to keep a close eye on him. Scary guy. Actually wanted to be a Texan back in 2020. Said he grew up liking Arian Foster, but they decided to go with Ross Blacklock instead of him. And they had David Johnson. So I guess Bill O'Brien didn't need him. By the way, speaking of B.O.B., B.O.B. and his Boston College squad, they just beat Florida State. I said I was happy for B.O.B. I'm over the King Bill, the football idiot era, and I had to cover it closely. And I did call him a football idiot a number of times, and he was a football idiot a number of times. But O'Brien was always a pretty nice guy. Had a couple beers with B.O.B. He was fine. You just talk about what you say about him, and he's cool with it. He tries to explain. He's kind of a dude's dude. He's not like the POS Jack used to be, although he was kind of the right-hand man. So maybe it's because they're ahead of schedule. It sucked having to cover. It sucked having to watch Bill O'Brien be named king, courtesy of ownership and everything that went on there. But at this point, good for you, Bill. You beat Florida State, Boston College. Maybe y'all can get bowl eligible and you're where you belong. Like Bill O'Brien belongs as like a coach at a Boston college. He doesn't belong as a head coach in Houston. He doesn't belong as an NFL offensive coordinator. Quite frankly, I don't even think he belongs as a big time offensive coordinator in college like Alabama. I think Boston College is where Bill O'Brien belongs, and it feels like he's kind of found himself. And that's his region. That's his neck of the woods. So good for Bill O'Brien. You're where you belong. Time heals all wounds. Good for him. I don't think everybody feels that. Good guy, decent coach, horrible GM. Ass GM. I think he's an all right coach. I don't think he's great. I think he's overrated. I think the division was trash, specifically at the quarterback and the coach situation. You look at the matchups versus coaches and quarterbacks. I think it's a little bit over romanticized. But yeah, I think his temper got the best of him. But hey, B.O.B., good for him. Props, dude. Like you did your thing, and you're where you belong. I'm not upset. I know there are some people who really take that a little bit serious. But if you look at the Bill O'Brien record, and I'll bring these stats up because I hear people say, he won with this quarterback and he won with this guy. Let me just bring up these stats. Could I interest you in a stat? So this is Bill O'Brien and Ian Rappaport and those guys. They carry his water and they say whatever they say. But this was Bill O'Brien in the AFC South in his record. He was 23-14. He had 4 wins against Mettenberger, 8 wins against Bortles, 3 wins against Luck when he was basically spitting out blood, 3 against Mariota, 2 against Minshew. Then he had Hasselbeck, Brissett, and Tannehill. Lost to Luck 4 times, Hasselbeck, Castle, Bortles twice, Brissett, Mariota, Gabbard, and Tannehill. I mean, the quarterback play was ass when he was here. So, like, the praise of him winning divisions with that quarterback, you had an elite defense. And you were going against Gus Bradley, Mike Mularkey, Doug Marrone, all those guys. So, those are just the stats. It's kind of appropriate that when I praise B.O.B., I got to crap on him a little bit too. But hey, again, he's where he needs to go. A lot of y'all are asking for like predictions in the comments. I don't like this isn't a prediction thing. Leading receiver, I don't know. We might sneak some predictions in, but like, what's your prediction for this? What's your prediction? I don't know, man. There's predictions that come out throughout the season, but as far as, hey, let me give you a prediction about the top wide receiver in the score. It's Monday, brother. It's Monday, brother. How confident? These are the type of questions I like. This is more topical. How confident are we in our secondary as a whole for week 1? I'm nervous about Eric Murray and Jalen Petrie in coverage. And I'm nervous about Shane Steichen having all the time that he's had to prepare to put those guys in those situations. I think Lassiter's going to be challenged. I think that the struggles are going to be inevitable. Stingley's going to ball out no matter what. But I'm nervous. I mean, I think you should be nervous about the safeties. We haven't seen Jalen Petrie go against a non-base defense. We like the roll a little bit, but you got to think that opposing coaches are going to try to make him uncomfortable. Eric Murray, like him as a reserve safety, when he's going to be the guy that's, deep, whether it's Pittman, whether it's Adonai Mitchell, whoever the hell else they decide to take shots with. I think that's a concern. Good news is Anthony Richardson, not too accurate. So maybe that can be an equalizer, but confidence in the secondary, I mean, on a 10 scale, maybe like a 6 for sure. Maybe a 6. I don't know. Do you think we can keep AR uncomfortable in the pocket and keep him from getting easy yards in the scramble? I don't know. I mean, can he stay on the field is as much of a question. I'm nervous about offensive line play as well. Very much nervous. Petrie, Honey Badger 2.0. I'm telling you, that's pretty weird, honestly. Like, I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Tyrann. Tyrann Mathieu has really, really good ball skills. I don't think Petrie has really, really good ball skills. I think Tyrann Mathieu creeps up to the line of scrimmage. He creeps up to the line of scrimmage because he can. and he can do other stuff as well. But I don't think Jalen Petrie is the Honey Badger at all. I mean, the Honey Badger is a ball hog. The Honey Badger is like an extra linebacker. I think he can be good. 2.0, don't know. Maybe like 0.5. I mean, you're talking about a 2-time first-team All-Pro, a second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. He was on the NFL All-Decade team. Let's just let Jalen Petrie look serviceable in the role before we start talking Honey Badger 2.0. I'm not feeling that. And I like Jalen Petrie. Just not really feeling that at all. Yes, Will Anderson's going to play. You heard it here first. I know DJ Bieneme asked DeMeco about it. He said, we'll see. Will Anderson's playing. Mark it, book it, write it down. Will Anderson will be on the field against the Indianapolis Colts. No second thoughts about it at all. I think Richardson gets hurt Sunday. I would say that's mean, but the odds are that kind of happens. So I won't call you mean on that. I do not think the roster's set in stone at all. No, I don't. Not even a little bit. Jacob with the super chat. Thank you very much, my man.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
I wish I felt better about our defense altogether. Our DT, LB, and S are not real strong. Thanks for the show, Landry. Thank you for the love, my friend. Yeah, look, if you feel good about it, I think what would make you feel good about it, and you also got to factor in that you don't have Christian Harris and you don't have DeMeco Ryans. So 2 guys that you thought would be big additions. And I say Christian Harris is an addition because I think we all anticipated, rightfully so, that this year he takes a step up. So you're adding a guy with experience, and you're adding a guy that's, taking a step up and becoming, one of those guys that is one of the better linebackers, at least in the division. And who knows, if he plays the way he did late in the season, maybe in the league. So you don't have that. You don't have DeMeco Ryans, so you can't really move around and improve the middle of the defense closer to the line of scrimmage. And then at safety, I mean, you have Eric Murray and you have Jalen Petrie. So you have the exact same guys, and you have an offensive genius in Shane Steichen, who's had all this time to prepare with you, and he has familiarity with you. So I think that's fair. Now, if you want to feel good about it, I would say trust in DeMeco and trust what we saw from the Texans D-line in camp. Now, the bad news about that is maybe that has to do with the Texans O-line as much as anything. But I don't think if you're asking me to make you feel better, I would just say trust DeMeco and trust the mindset and trust that the offense can give you enough points and margin for error to where you're still able to win the game. That would be my encouragement. But I don't think that's irrational to feel that way about the middle of the defense. I think it's absolutely fair, no doubt. I think it's very, very fair to feel that way. Getting back to the matchups in Texans Colts. So we've already done number 1, DeMeco versus Shane Steichen. We've done number 2, CJ Stroud versus the Colts defense / fans. Number 3, Caserio versus clout chasing Chris Ballard. Jonathan Taylor was number 4. Number 5. Look, I can understand the Texans not going in this direction because they feel good about their receivers, and they have 2 young guys in Nico Collins and Tank Dell who they feel can be upper tier guys in the future. I know they got other young guys that they feel good-ish about in Mechie and Hutchinson, but I don't think those guys would stop them from taking a receiver that they liked. But Adonai Mitchell out of Texas and Georgia, I think this is something that we got to keep a close eye on. And I think there's a legit factor. And I kind of feel like Shane Steichen is going to do some work with Adonai Mitchell. I thought Adonai Mitchell was better than Xavier Worthy at Texas. I thought he should have probably been a back-end first-round pick. He's a complete receiver. He's fast. He's athletic. There was a bunch of talk at the combine. I don't really quite understand what it was about. But, when I saw him sliding, part of me was hoping that maybe he would fall to the Texans' second round pick after they took Lassiter. But when I saw him go to Indianapolis, I I didn't feel too good about it. I think the guy's an absolute stud, college teammate with Kamari Lassiter, and a guy who got a lot of grief. And here's another one of those clout chasing Chris Ballard moments. This was him talking about the dialogue for Adonai Mitchell. Look how fake this dude is. Like, look at this. He's waiting for this. Here he goes. Here goes the drama right here. Take it away, Chris Ballard. You remind me of my 1-year-old daughter when she's throwing a fit. Go ahead. Go viral, bud.
I'm not going to lie to y'all.
Okay.
I get frustrated. Okay. Now I'm going to go off on a sidebar here.
Oh, okay.
I almost said a bad word.
Oh, wow.
All the crap that comes out about these kids, it's crap. Like, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, but it's bullshit.
Oh, you said a cuss word.
Like, people that leak these stories, these negative stories on kids, I don't agree with it. It's bullshit. These guys work their ass off to get where they need to be. And then all week you got to read and stories and ask and then they got to answer questions on it. So anyway, not on Anthony, it's on some other kids in the draft that are good kids. And I thought had to take a little bit of a beating that they shouldn't have had to take.
Chris. All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the performance, dude. You win a role in a Lifetime movie, maybe a porn or something like that. That level of acting. This guy is such a bit. That guy is an absolute bit, coach. Marcus Johnson says, got to hit the like button, support the channel. Thank you very much, Marcus, for the super.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
And yeah, be sure to hit the like button, support the channel. It's going down. I'm going to go live tomorrow. Texan scout James Lifford's going to be available at 10. Quite frankly, I don't know what to ask Scout Goodhair, but I will ask him something. And we'll see how that goes. And we're going to get into how much of a hard ass DeMeco Ryans is now, for sure. And I do say, I'm going to say a bad word. I'm going to say a bad word. Oh, I almost said a bad word. And then he cusses. Like, Chris Ballard, come on, dude. This guy's such a bit. He is an absolute bit. He's all fake. It's all fake. It's all clout with Chris Ballard. Everything about him is fake. Have you ever seen like their Colts draft? Like Chris Ballard, let me see this. Let's see. Chris Ballard. Oh, here we go. This was him. All right, here he goes. He's going to cuss. Here you go. This was Chris Ballard after the draft a couple years ago when he was growing his hair. Here you go. Like, this guy's such a bit. Look at this.
I don't know. I mean, I read some of the bullshit that was said on TV. I mean, just the typical fucking, excuse my language, our typical league, unnamed sources, bad interview. That's such bullshit. I mean, it fucking is. It's bullshit. Like,
all right, dude. Good job, man. And this is the same guy who just a minute ago said, oh, I almost said a bad word. Thanks, Chris Ballard. Freaking weasel. Now, this is the best when he has like the fake draft stuff where he has like the fake, oh, yeah, we got this guy. Oh, yeah, we fooled him. Oh, yeah, this is vintage Chris Ballard. I promise you this was the second take. Here you go.
Yeah, we got a minute left.
yeah, we're ready. We'll be ready.
Arizona has created the thing. Houston is now on the clock.
Good.
I almost feel like when Caserio was talking about guys doing like the cheering and stuff, he was talking about Chris Ballard. I almost feel that way. It's a bit. I think DeMeco's got the real hardo in him. The Chris Ballard thing is just it is a bad bit. It is a really bad bit. Like it is like Lifetime movie. Let's see, Chris Ballard. Let's see if we got a Chris Ballard rant in us. Oh, here we go. Oh,
This is after they failed on a quarterback once again. Here's Chris Ballard. Oh, he's going to put on a show. Here he goes, Chris Ballard. This is courtesy of Channel 8. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. He's so upset. Oh, my God. What are you going to do? Are you going to be fake accountable? Give it to me, Chris. Please. Give me that fake accountability. Do it for the cameras, man.
Look, I failed. I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses.
Okay, Chris.
Failed a lot of people.
Ooh.
Highly disappointed, about where we're at, how the season went. I never take lightly what's at stake here.
Okay.
And it's not, the wins and losses, but, people's lives are on the line. Players' families, coaches' families, front office, people in this building. And I don't ever take that lightly. And, I'm disappointed. Disappointed where we're at. And ultimately,
You got to crank it
it
up.
falls on my shoulders.
Got to crank it up, Chris.
I won't
Get viral.
walk away from that.
Get
I
viral.
won't run from it. Saying that, we'll grow from it, and I'll grow from it. Going forward, we'll prove that. I know there's doubt. There should be. Absolutely, there should be. The criticism, it's warranted.
Okay.
Criticism, regarding my job and what I've done, it's warranted. But I've not lost any confidence.
Man, this is bad. Oh, here he was again. Remember when Josh McDaniels backed out for them? Which, by the way, that was a blessing in disguise. Let's hear the Chris Ballard statement. Look at him right there. I'm going to send a message to Josh McDaniels. Give it to him, Chris.
So I live in a black and white world, Bob. Either you're in or you're out.
Okay.
I didn't want the explanation. Either you're in or you're out. It's not either you're in or out. 100% in or out.
Either you're in or you're out. There's nothing there. He's bad, man. He's bad, man. And he was like the toast of the league, and now Chris Ballard is Lord, whatever. There you go. Cloud chasing. Chris Ballard, he's an absolute bit. But we discovered that today. Chris Ballard, the bit. Next up, when it comes to the factors, so the Adonai Mitchell factor kind of turned into Chris Ballard's a bit. Number 6, Anthony Richardson's role. Now, is this going to be short or long term? I think it's kind of to be determined. Like, can he play when he plays, and can he play? Like, can he be on the field? I think these are legitimate questions with Anthony Richardson. So I'm prepared to sit here and say that Caserio and Ballard will be going back and forth for a few years, perhaps, depending on what happens with Richardson. And I'm prepared to say that CJ Stroud and Colts fans are going to have back and forths for a long time. I'm prepared to say that Shane Steichen and DeMeco, whether DeMeco wants to be like a legitimate, authentic, non-Chris Ballard hardo, I feel like it's confident in that. This Anthony Richardson thing, I don't know. I don't know about this guy. LaFar Jackson, don't know about that guy at all. For sure. Yeah, he did get hurt dancing. You heard it here 100 times. I've brought that up many a times. Anthony Richardson getting hurt. So we'll see. And I don't even know if he's an injury bust. Like, is he good on the field? And that's the thing. Like, it's not like he's, someone who's just incredible when he's on the field. We haven't seen that on the college or pro level. It's been about potential. It's been about what he could potentially do, not what he's done. So, yeah, I think there can be a number of things. If he plays 17 games, do they do as well as they did last year with Minshew? I don't know. Maybe not. I think Shane Steichen's a good enough coach to where he's going to give you the best chance, but I don't know that. So I don't know if it's an injury thing. I don't know if he can actually play, but that's a hell of a crappy combo to have, for sure. Rock WP says, I feel like we can't praise JT too much without acknowledging AR. I don't know what that means. Maybe explain that. I don't know what that means. I feel like we can't praise JT too much without acknowledging AR. I don't know what that means. Tim says he's heard of folks blowing out their knee dancing. Okay. I mean, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds in college. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not ready to dismiss Bryce Young. I know I was a Bryce Young guy. I'm not ready to dismiss Bryce Young. We'll see how that goes. What an easy-ass schedule they got, by the way. What an easy-ass schedule they got. So the final factor with Texans Colts, and this is going to be the what-if QB game. I think there's a lot of what-ifs. I think there's been a snowball effect the last over a half decade of the what-if quarterback game. And this is going to be one of those things which is in the Texans' favor right now. But it's going to be a theme. And I think, if they write a history book about this section of the rivalry, I don't think you can do so without the what-if quarterback game. And we can just go back to when Andrew Luck retired. What if Andrew Luck never retires? Colts were believed to be kind of one of those second-tier Super Bowl dark horse type of squads. What happens if that doesn't happen? Because he was playing good. Hell, they beat the hell out of the Texans in that playoff game in 2018. What happens if Andrew Luck doesn't go down? What happens if Deshaun Watson hangs around? What happens if the Texans end up beating the Colts and they take Bryce Young? What happens if the Colts lose an extra game and they'd gotten CJ Stroud? There's a lot of what ifs when it comes to that. That's not going to go away. I think Texans fans feel pretty good about those what ifs, which is fortunate because, let's be honest, Indianapolis, their most decorated runs of our lifetime. You can go back to Johnny Unitas if you want. I'm not going to. The Peyton Manning right into Andrew Luck thing, you kind of just felt like, man, everything's going their way. Kind of feels like that's flipped a little bit since Andrew Luck retired. So kind of canceling out a little bit. So that's where we're at with the top 7 things. Number 1, the DeMeco versus Steichen show. Number 2, CJ Stroud versus the Colts defense / fans. Number 3, Caserio versus the walking bit, Chris Ballard. Number 4, the Jonathan Taylor factor. Number 5, Adonai Mitchell. Number 6, Anthony Richardson's TBD role. And number 7, the what-if quarterback game. Those are the 7 factors in this era of the rivalry. Going back to that Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson thing, Taylor could take the load off AR if he plays like a top 3 back, making the QB job easier to dink and dunk down the field. Okay. I mean, he did that for Minshew too. But yeah, I don't think I think that AR-15 is going to be in every position to succeed. I think he's got the right surroundings there. So yeah, I mean, it obviously makes it easier. I don't even think that Anthony Richardson needs to go toe-to-toe with CJ Stroud. That's not their recipe for success. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that works with anyone for sure. But Gardner Minshew can stay on the field. Anthony Richardson cannot. Gardner Minshew is probably a little bit more accurate as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say. I think that doesn't even really need to be said. We 100% agree on that. So our biggest discovery today is that Chris Ballard is one of the biggest bits in all of football. He's an absolute bit. I mean, that is some terrible acting right there. Chris Ballard, terrible acting. And I think the Colts media likes him a lot. By the way, the Colts media is badass. So I'm not bashing the Colts media. Like, you want to talk about an uninformed bunch. Like that beat, like the Colts beat and the people who follow the squad, man, you go to a game and you like end up in the elevator or at a table with the Colts beat, you just sit there for 15 minutes eating whatever hell free food they got in the press box. You're gonna be informed as hell. Informed as hell. Zach Kiefer used to be on the beat. I think he's like one of the top national guys now for The Athletic. But between all the guys there, they know everything. So it's a very, very informed beat. So shout out to them. But Chris Ballard kind of kisses ass. You can tell he's a little bit of a smoocher. Not necessarily Nick Caserio style. He's a little bit loose. But I don't think Nick Caserio ever goes up to a podium thinking, I'm going to go viral or someone's going to write something nice about me. I truly think he doesn't give a damn. I know he'll go on Jim Rome. I know he'll go on all these shows now, and he's more open to it. But I don't think Nick Caserio really gives a damn about it. Chris Ballard does, for sure. What's my take on the shrimp cocktail in Indy? I've never had it. There's very, very massive mixed reviews on it. Some love it. Some don't. Some think it's too spicy. There's nothing that's going to be too spicy for me. That's not going to happen. I do kind of feel like we have pretty good seafood here. So who knows, but I'm a big shrimp cocktail guy. I'm actually going to buy a shrimp cocktail Saturday. This is a shrimp cocktail weekend. For sure. Absolute shrimp cocktail weekend. Lopez overrated that, right? He said it was overrated. I don't think he overrated it. I think Lopez said that it's overrated. Some people disagree with it. I think it's the St. Elmo's type of thing. I wouldn't trust shrimp in Indiana. It's not bad. I'm sure. Who knows? Killa X God looking good with the new Cam Landry. Swarm that like button. We found it. Man, I appreciate y'all for looking out for that like button. Yeah, the new camera's nice, man. Wasn't even that much more expensive. Got the extra locker too, so we're rolling. And hopefully we'll have some news a little later about some other stuff. Do you think Latu could be a threat in his rookie season? I do. That's one of the more polarizing draft picks of the year is him. Some people said, and I know Chris Ballard said it, that he was the best pass rusher in the draft. Some people said that he plays like someone who's scared to get hurt, which he did. He actually retired because of an injury. I think it was actually like a spinal or neck injury, and then ended up coming back. I don't think there's a more polarizing prospect. Now, I know that, like, if you look at Penix and you say, well, he was drafted here and that kind of broke the internet. Yeah, that was polarizing. But I feel like the overall thoughts on what type of prospect Penix was, I feel like it was pretty, like, it was like some people thought he was, top 2 quarterback. Some people thought he was top 4. But for the most part, like, it was first round, early second. And no one, I didn't hear really too many, as far as like the draft experts that you listen to, I didn't hear too many people divided on him. Same thing with a lot of the corners, a lot of the D tackles seemed to be the overall feel. The running backs, we kind of had an idea what they were. Tight ends, we had a good idea what they were. Quarterbacks are quarterbacks. O-linemen, I don't pay as much attention to it, but kind of felt that he was a guy who some people thought he was just trash, and some people thought he should have been like a top 10 pick. So that'll be an interesting one to keep. Chris Ballard did early on in his tenure, despite me kind of making fun of him. He did do a good job drafting in the first and second round. I know that first draft where he had Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard, he kind of hung his hat on that for a long time. I guess his name's Shaq now still, right? He hadn't changed it again. Darius Shaq Leonard, he hung his hat on that, but I think he can be. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect, because some guys say he's freaking awesome. Other guys say this guy is scared to get hurt. Who knows? I liked him. But who knows? It'll be interesting. Are the Colts the second best team in the division? It's between them, Jacksonville, and Houston. And I'm not even going to sit here and say the Texans are the best yet. I think that's got to be proven. I know they're even money right now. I think that's got to be proven. I think it's going to be I think it's a 3-horse race. I think the Titans / Old Oilers, they're sitting on the sidelines. They don't know what they are. They have no idea. Like they don't know anything about anything. They have no clue what they're doing. They're blind. You thought it was going to be a rebuild, then all of a sudden you're getting aggressive. No idea what they are. I don't think the Titans are a factor when it comes to potentially winning the division. I don't know about their coach. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to suck. If he ends up being a really, really good coach, that changes a lot. But I don't think they have the quarterback. But I think the Colts and Jags, I think either one of those teams could win the division. No doubt. Do I have confidence in Lassiter at cornerback too? I do. I think he's really good. I think there will be struggles. There'll be times where y'all are pissed off at him. Best post-game show, by the way, right here. So be sure to subscribe, get that alert. As soon as the game ends, boom, we watch him. We're talking, we're chatting. We're going to be at least 1,000 deep, maybe a little bit more. What do I need from the O-line to get assurance? Block? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they got to run block better. They got to run block better, and the right side of that O-line's got to hold up. I'm going to every practice this week. I go to every practice every week. I'll be at every practice. So yes, I was there today. Practices aren't as fun. I know y'all get used to like the practice reports in camp. I'll be able to tell you who's out there. I'll be able to give you like a few observations, but they shut that hoe down early during the season. It's not as intense. It's not as fun. But the news is more relevant. Like we're going to overreact to every injury report and all that. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. No doubt. Who has more at the end of the season, Levitt with picks or Pollard with TDs? Levis with picks, Pollard with TDs. Probably Levis with picks. He's going to have double-digit interceptions. I think that's inevitable. I don't think Pollard's going to have double-digit touchdowns. And I don't even know what Tony Pollard is at this point. I had no problem with the Cows franchise tagging him when they did, but I don't know what Tony Pollard is. I will say this. The one thing that Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Colts have is they have multiple backs that can make plays in games. Texans don't necessarily have that. We don't know how Cam Akers is going to be used, but they have some guys that they'll line up and have them go out for routes. They have short yardage guys, all that. Texans have Mixon, who is a workhorse. I will give him that. Between him and Travis Etienne is the best running back, not second best running back in the division. Excuse me, Taylor's first. But yeah, that's the way I would go. But yeah, run blocking is really, really something to keep an eye on with this O-line. Appreciate everyone for coming through. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Tomorrow, DeMeco Ryans. We're going to have we'll probably go live about 11:30, 12. And then we'll do the night show at 10:30. So 2 lives throughout the week. That might increase. Be on the lookout for a potential announcement when it comes to some other content that you can get, maybe some exclusive content with myself and someone else that does this at a decent level that I might be really, really good friends with. Who knows? Keep an eye on that. And always remember, whether you're a walking bit like Chris Ballard or whether you're a genuine hardo like DeMeco Ryans, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. It's game week, baby. Subscribe, like, ride along. Thanks for pulling up to the locker room.
Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do.